Today we're going to talk about how small and medium-sized businesses, or SMBs, can take advantage of today's communication evolution to help you better compete against larger enterprises that have more staffing and funding resources. We're going to talk about how you can use cloud solutions to go beyond just like basic dial tone to stay competitive, and also what you need to know in the age of the customer, where customer service and engagement is so important. And I'll describe how integrated cloud communication platforms can help you expand customer care. And then you'll get to hear from Lee Seidman of National Physician Services, who's going to talk about his experience as a small business using cloud services. And then, as John mentioned, we'll have time for Q&A at the end. We need to, there we go. Okay. So as you know, phone systems have come a long way since the early days when they just made and answered phone calls. Now, what if your business phone service or system could do more than just handle phone calls? What if you could answer customer questions and resolve customer issues faster? And also, what if that same system could provide a platform for you to grow your business? Now, there are solutions available today that can do so much more than what traditional PBXs or phone systems can do. Letting you make and answer phone calls is just one small part of it, and we'll be discussing all of that. Now, let's talk for a minute about small and medium-sized businesses and some of your needs and challenges, which you're all probably aware of. So SMBs have some of the same challenges as their larger counterparts, but they also have some that are different and that are unique. You're expected to perform as well as large companies, but you have fewer resources, and you have to do more with less. Also, communications is crucial, and missing a customer's call or not being able to get a sales call when in the field can have a huge impact. As I said, you have to compete with larger, even global companies that have larger budgets and staffs. They may have offices throughout the country or even the world. And small businesses need to find ways to look like larger companies, and provide the same or even better level of service to customers. And workers in SMBs often wear multiple hats. You have to do jobs that would be done by a specialist in a larger company. Like, for instance, a general manager of a small tech startup may have to help with sales and operations. Also, customer service and support may be done by the marketing team instead of a dedicated contact center group. And workers have to be in touch and accessible, especially when mobile. And the need for travel may be even greater for SMBs because many people may not have offices and branches throughout the country or the world the way larger enterprises do, so they have to travel more. And also, some of you may be in the situation where you have remote workers that don't have the tools or equipment to effectively communicate and collaborate with colleagues and customers. Another challenge is that IT resources in SMBs are much more limited, and companies don't have the IT staff to handle some of these new technologies that are being introduced and being used. It's important that SMBs level the playing field in order to compete with larger players. So it doesn't matter if you're a 20-person company or a 20,000-person company. Your goals are going to be the same. You want to increase revenues, reduce costs, enhance customer satisfaction and loyalty, and improve worker productivity. And for any size company, you want workers to effectively collaborate with each other and with customers, partners, and suppliers to get the products or services that you deliver, that you develop. You want to get them to market quicker. You want to be able to make faster decisions, and you want to be able to sell your services more effectively. But the solutions that SMBs use is probably very different from what larger enterprises can do, as we discussed. Because of limited budgets and IT staff, SMBs need communication and collaboration solutions that are easy to purchase, to implement, to maintain, and to support, while still providing the core capabilities that you need, with the ability to grow on, to add on as you grow. And I assume many of you, are in the growth process, so you want to stay flexible and have the tools that are going to let you grow as you need. And also, with customer service becoming so important, and we're going to talk about that a lot, small businesses need to provide that same level of personalized service and support to customers as larger companies. And creating better customer engagement and interacting with customers more efficiently is so much more important than ever before, and we're going to be talking about this. But a lot of SMBs may not have what we call formal contact centers or call centers for things like routing, distributing, and queuing calls. Also, SMBs don't want complex IT solutions that cost a lot and require specific IT skills. And you don't want to have to integrate lots of different products and services to get the communication and customer service capabilities that you need. The key for all of this is simplicity, having complete, affordable, easy to deploy, manage, and maintain solutions. And the answer, of course, is cloud communication services. And I was very happy to see from the poll that many of you are already using cloud services, which is just awesome. So really one thing the cloud does is it does level the playing field, providing SMBs with the communication, collaboration, and contact center features and capabilities that otherwise would probably be too complex and too costly for you to purchase. And it's not just about saving money or about total cost of ownership. It's really about the benefits that the cloud provides. Businesses can be so much more flexible and can easily add users as needed, which is really important, especially for companies that have seasonal businesses, like if you're a florist or a tax preparer or universities. So you see some of the benefits of cloud services for SMBs on the slide. So I'll just briefly go over this. So the cloud provides what we call the LEDs, scalability, functionality, flexibility, reliability, and mobility. Also simplicity, which is really cool. Simplicity of deployment, management, and maintenance, which because it's the cloud provider does all this, it's much easier for the business, so it saves time and money, and it lets you focus more on your core business. And because the cloud provider takes care of management, maintenance, and support, the customer's IT staff can focus on other things that may be closer to your core business and really running the business. Another thing is business continuity, and Lee's going to be talking about this. The cloud service provider generally provides off-site backup and redundancy and disaster recovery, and this is generally is too expensive to do on-prem. And with the remote capabilities that the cloud provides, there's no software to download to the desktop. Workers really just need an internet connection and headset, and they're good to go. And remote employees can be just as productive if they're at home or in a hotel room or in the office. So really, an employee sitting in let's say, an airport or at home or anywhere, they can receive calls, send and receive instant messages, have web and video conferences, just as if they're in their desk. And people can work remotely during emergencies like snowstorms or earthquakes. And as I said, Lee's going to talk about this. And because people can work from anywhere that they have an internet connection, companies can hire the best workers that they want, regardless of location. And this is especially important when it comes to customer service, which I'll be talking about. Another benefit of the cloud is that SMBs can access advanced features and capabilities that would otherwise be really not affordable and too expensive, things like web and video conferencing. These really would be pretty much cost prohibitive with a premises-based solution. Another thing that is important is the reduced risk of technology obsolescence and also sunk costs. With the cloud, you get automatic updates, which means you get the latest and greatest automatically, so you can stay current with new capabilities and functions. Also, scalability. You only pay for what you need, so you get an immediate return on investment with a pay-as-you-go model and just a small upfront, if any, upfront cost. And a lot of businesses like the ability to pay on an operating expense basis instead of a capital expense basis, which is important for some companies. One thing that I think is really important to stress is that the cloud can help small businesses look like a global enterprise. As I said, it really levels the playing field and lets small businesses look like a global organization to better compete with larger players. It's really the great equalizer, which lets SMBs use the same tools as enterprises, which is going to help them have better customer engagement and better business outcomes. And really, cloud communication systems can make a mom and pop shop look like a global enterprise. But what we see today with cloud communications is, we have voice in the cloud, we have conferencing and online meetings in the cloud, collaboration is in the cloud, and these have tremendous impacts on businesses and small businesses. But what we're seeing is that oftentimes these are disparate or are different siloed systems. So even with cloud services, for the most part, buying a business communication solution generally involves separate piece parts and separate vendors for voice, messaging, collaboration, and contact center. And integrating all of these separate services to work together properly, it probably needs some specialized resources that many companies don't have. And it can really be a challenge, especially for small businesses that may not have the resources to support all these different products or services. And it's also a lot more expensive to do it that way. And what we've seen in some cases is that separate or disjointed applications can lead to user confusion, which then leads to poor ease of use and lower end-user adoption, which means that you're not getting the full return on your investment or the value of your service. So what I see as the next step in cloud communications for businesses is an integrated communication platform that brings together the different elements that make up a business communication solution. Things like voice or calling, messaging, collaboration, contact center. And this is really important for SMBs that need a simpler solution. Now, I kind of see this as a gestalt of communications. When we bring all these things together on an integrated platform, really the whole is more than the sum of each of the parts. So what we see is with an all-in-one cloud-based communication and collaboration solution, it incorporates most of the capabilities that you see here on the slide with all of the pieces tying together seamlessly. And also with a range of functions like conferencing, video, mobility, chat, call routing, and queuing. These business communication tools can help improve employee collaboration and productivity throughout your company. And also with this kind of platform, you can access web and video conferencing, contact center, and other services that, as I mentioned before, may have been too expensive otherwise. Also, with an integrated platform, you can do things that you couldn't have done otherwise, things like click to call to easily initiate a phone call or a web conference, all from the same user interface. So you don't have to be switching interfaces or applications to make phone calls or to set up conference calls or web conferences or videos. Your users can really seamlessly move from one mode or channel to another. And this really leads to better communications and collaboration for your employees. And that means better and faster decision-making. You can get products or services out the door faster, and you can provide better customer service. And a key element of this is that phone systems and contact center capabilities are merging together, which is going to help companies improve customer interactions and customer engagement. And today we're really living in the age of the customer. Customer interaction and customer engagement are playing such an important role. And one thing that small businesses have to think about is the fact that customers are comparing your business and your customer service to the customer service that they get from companies like Uber or Amazon or Zappos and other world-class customer-focused businesses. So even if you're a very small business, if you don't provide the same kind of experience that they're used to from getting from other types of organizations, you're going to fall behind. You also have to think about the fact that as an SMB, each and every customer really is important. And the loss of even just one customer can do some damage. And just a few unhappy customers can have a really long-lasting effect on your business. As an analyst, I do a lot of studies and I read a lot of studies, and there are tons of statistics out there that show the importance of the customer experience. So one study, according to Deloitte, they found that 62% of companies see customer experience delivered by the contact center as a competitive differentiator. And according to a study done by Walker, they said that by 2020, customer experience is going to overtake price and product as the key brand differentiator. So customer experience is going to be the most important thing to differentiate companies. And also, according to a Dimension Data Global Customer Experience Benchmarking report, they found that 81% of companies see customer experience as a competitive differentiator, but only 13% of them self-rate their customer experience delivery at a 9 out of 10 or better. So even though they see it as being really important, they're not delivering on those experiences. And really, we know what happens when customers don't get the service that they want or expect. Basically, they're going to switch to another company that can provide better service. And Accenture found that the estimated cost of customers switching vendors due to poor service is $1.6 trillion, and that 80% of customers who switch companies because of poor service feel that the company could have done something to help keep them and retain them. Also, we know that in the age of Twitter and Facebook and social media, bad news really does travel quickly. So if someone has a complaint about your service, all of their friends and all of their friends' friends are going to hear about it. So what this really means is that every company, regardless of size, needs to be thinking strategically about how they're interacting with the customer. And even though small businesses may get, lots of inbound customer calls, or their sales reps are making lots of outbound calls, or maybe you're setting up appointments, you may not have a formal contact center or the necessary technologies to do the routing, queuing, and reporting of these customer interactions. And in a lot of cases, small businesses don't realize that they do need a contact center or the contact center tools. So even though they interact with customers a lot, they may not recognize that they need certain tools to help them be more efficient. So small businesses without these tools and technologies really are at a big disadvantage. And getting the right customer interaction tools is much easier now. It used to be way more expensive. It used to be very hard to manage, and it was a big challenge for small businesses. But with today's cloud solutions, that's really not the case anymore. And there are lots of benefits to organizations that have fully integrated communication and contact center cloud solutions. And what I see as the biggest advantage is that agents and subject matter experts, or people around the organization, can better work together to answer customers' questions and solve their problems more quickly. And this increases customer satisfaction and loyalty. And I've been writing about this topic and covering it for a long time. And one thing I found is that over 10% of all telephone inquiries handled by contact center agents generally require some sort of assistance from subject matter experts in different parts of the company. So, for example, a call center agent may need to reach out to a product specialist to answer a technical question about a product, or they may need to reach out to someone in marketing about a new promotion. And there are lots of examples. A claims adjuster may need help with a call about an insurance claim, or a financial expert helping a customer with a bank loan may need to talk to a commercial loan specialist. Sales engineers helping customers with a technical question may need to talk to a product manager. So there are loads of examples. So here's a typical scenario. So let's say John calls his local credit union about getting a loan for his new software startup. So the contact center agent, Jim, isn't quite sure how to handle loans for startups. So he sends an instant message to Joan, who specializes in that area. Now, Joan gives Jim some information through instant message, and while Jim is still talking to John. And Joan says, maybe I should talk directly to John and help out. So Jim can add Joan to the call and initiate a web conference for all of them to share documents so that Joan can show John what forms need to be filled out and how to do it properly, and they can better interact all together to help John complete the transaction and be a more satisfied customer. Now, I mentioned earlier about how the cloud enables remote workers, and this is especially important when it comes to customer service. Agents can be located in the main office, in remote offices, in a home office, or anywhere really where they have internet access and a headset. Also, deploying remote agents in different time zones can help organizations follow what we call a follow the sun strategy, where they can provide customer service and support any time of day or any day of the week. And because a lot of workers are more willing to work from home at night or on weekends, coverage can be expanded and you have more access to different types of workers. Also, along those lines, we find that by using remote agents, companies can take advantage of workers that may not be able to work full-time in a formal call center. So remote agent deployments can include work-at-home parents, students, disabled workers, retirees, and others. So you really have more options for who you can hire. And also, this helps to reduce agent turnover or attrition, because we found that agents who work at home are generally more satisfied with their jobs, and they really appreciate the flexibility of being able to work remotely, and they can work in shifts that fit in with their other responsibilities. Like I said, if they're at-home parents or students. So this way, they're more likely to stay at their jobs longer because they're more satisfied with the flexibility. And also, the option of bringing remote or home-based workers online quickly means that companies can quickly add agents if they need for seasonal or daily peaks in demand. So again, if you're a florist and you need to have some people working around Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, you can hire those people without having to buy expensive hardware that's going to just be used for those peak periods. We also talked about business continuity, and using remote agents lets companies keep the business going when there's a natural disaster or another crisis, because the calls can be quickly routed to the agents that are available remotely, so you don't miss or lose any calls, which is so important to companies. And looking at the specific benefits of cloud-based integrated communication platforms for small businesses, again, there are so many things that are just so important. For IT, things are way more simplified. There's one-stop shopping. There's no finger pointing between vendors. And there's what we say, just one throat to choke when issues or problems come up. Also, there's less tweaking needed to make sure that everything works together as advertised. You don't have to add code or software to make all the pieces work together. And there's just one system to manage and take care of, which makes things so much easier. And then for users, users can seamlessly move from one communication channel to another without having to worry about integration issues and making sure that they can get to the right tool or application that they need. And this makes workers so much more productive. And also, mobile workers can access the communication and collaboration tools that they need from any device, any location, and they can be accessible to customers and colleagues and use the same tools that they have when they're in the office. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to John.
Great, thanks, Blair. Before we get to our next speaker, I'd like to ask one last question for the audience. If you don't mind taking some time in answering the question. Great, thank you. And I will now turn it over to, maybe we need a couple more seconds. Let me go back.
John, do you want to read the questions and the options for people?
Sure. Do you have plans to invest in cloud communications? Currently investing, planning to invest in next 6 months, planning to invest in 6 months to 12 months, planning to invest 12 to 24 months. Okay, great, thank you. So it looks like there's quite a few people that are currently investing, and then quite a few that are planning to invest in the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
Interesting. Any thoughts on that, Blair?
I think expected to see a few more people planning to invest in the next 6 months rather than 6 months to 12 months. But these things always take time. But I'm glad to see lots of people planning to invest, so that's always good. And
Yeah.
actually, yeah, the fact that 43% are currently investing is awesome. And that's kind of in line
quite a
with
large
lot
percentage.
That we've seen. Yeah, so that's great.
Yeah, great. Okay, I will pass it over to Lee. Lee?
Thank you, John. National Physician Services supports clinicians with their respective healthcare technologies, running the gamut from hosting servers or EMRs, practice management, helping them with the CIO discoveries and decision makings, everything to the desk side and remote assistance, all while subscribing to the philosophy Blair referenced earlier to doing more with less. Because we were formed by large medical groups, we are keenly aware of what's important to their business models and patient care, both of which boil down to a key interpersonal component relying on communication. When our customers encounter something, as I'll do the air quotes, out of the ordinary, whatever that might be, they need to be able to inform someone. Doctors may tell a medical assistant or a practice manager or some other on-site personnel, who in turn will typically reach out to us. Hence, the core responsibility of our organization is to provide a means for those that rely on NPS to communicate with us. In turn, NPS's success is reliant on being able to efficiently share these engagements internally. So our original telephone solution was an on-premise PBX system, which for the Northeast proved somewhat limiting once inclement weather imposed its will on our geographic region. So during really harsh weathers, like a blizzard or in some cases even tornadoes, at best we could remote to the PBX provided access was not cut off to it and record an outgoing message explaining that our office was closed, which in my opinion harmed our business reputation for being reliable. So we wanted to switch to a cloud-based VoIP solution as to eliminate that variable as much as possible. As it turned out, we relocated our office. Having our phone system in the cloud all but eliminated service interruption as a result of the relocation itself. Having distributed access to our phone resources, including call queues, was particularly advantageous for us without the need for virtual private networking. This became especially vital as we grew from handling local medical groups to regional and then eventually national customers who may not necessarily share the kind of attention Mother Nature directed our way. Being an SMB organization means our success also relies on maximizing efficiencies, and the cloud solution could not be too difficult to implement and had to be easy to administer. As Blair suggested earlier, smaller organizations do not necessarily have the luxuries of siloing responsibilities to dedicated teams like the larger companies can. So when we're all aware of how important time is for everybody, especially the customers. When a clinical practice contacts us, it typically is not to tell us how wonderful everyone feels and all the technology is functioning perfectly. They need answers and resolution lest their workflow suffers, which really impacts the patients. Our cloud-based VoIP system lets us integrate chat features, conference bridges, desktop faxing, etc. So support personnel may instantly communicate with SMEs on behalf of the customer or directly transfer them and return to the call queues, all independent of a single local network. By establishing a national presence, a cloud-based VoIP like what was offered via 8x8 makes it seem like that we were operating at such a level all along. We got an 800 number that we can share with people outside of our local area. It allows us a lot of analytics to look at the system and be more intelligent about what kind of calls we have coming in and how our communications really are working. The expression that people have heard a lot, obviously, is think big, be big, and with respect to business. And I can say shoring up the communication tools is a remarkable first step to make that a reality without the high costs for investments in infrastructure and added complexities at their end. Basically, thank you for your attention and hearing the NPS story. I was intentionally trying to be brief. Blair, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, thanks, Lee. Yeah, so basically in sum, as a small business, you need the right communication tools to help your business grow and succeed, and especially to compete with larger companies that have more resources. And it's really important to focus on the customer experience, ensuring that your customers get the care and service that they expect, and in today's market that really they demand. With an integrated cloud-based business communication system that has calling, messaging, collaboration, conferencing, as well as contact center or customer interaction functionality, you can get the capabilities that you need to help make your workers more productive and effective while improving customer satisfaction and loyalty. And really what this means is this all impacts the bottom line. Improved collaboration means faster decisions, getting products or services out the door faster and more effectively, increased sales, and improved customer experiences. And this all impacts the bottom line and gives you long-term customer satisfaction and loyal customers, which is just so important in today's market. And with that, I'll turn it back to John.